Shepard warned us they were coming, but we didn't listen. Now the fate of our world, of every world, rests in his hands.
Even with the kind of insane year 2012 is shaping out to be game-wise, I don't think I'll step on anybody's toes by saying that Mass Effect 3 is probably the most anticipated game, or one of the most anticipated games of the year. Keeping that in mind, we'll do our utmost not to spoil anything for you, both in what Thomas says, and he promises, oh, well, we'll punch him if he spoils anything. I haven't played it, so I can't. That also goes for all the gameplay stuff that you'll actually see in this clip. We're only using official trailers, so yeah, you're gonna watch. This should be spoilers safe. So having said that, third game in what's turning out to be one of the most popular sci-fi trilogies games of ever, pretty much. What's going on with Mass Effect 3? Where are we?
Well, the fight has finally been taken to Earth, and we can say this because it's actually in the demo, so that's out already, and you should have tried it. And the Reaper invasion is finally here. So that's pretty much where it starts. I mean, you will see some of Earth destroyed within the first 10 minutes of the game by the Reapers which are landing. But that also means that the whole thing that Shepard has been trying to set in motion, preparing the galaxy as a whole for this invasion, is finally something that people need to accept. And that's kind of hard when the invasion is already ongoing. So it's a pretty hectic start. And it's also a start that kind of expects you to know what's going on, because there isn't any cuddle for all the new people who's gonna start with the third game. It's just, you know, straightforward. You have to learn what's going on, or you have to go back and play the previous games.
So back when Mass Effect 2 came out, there was a sort of shift, a slight shift in how in the gameplay, whereas Mass Effect 2 was more action-oriented, more shooter-like than the first game. Some people like that, some didn't. Yeah. Where is Mass Effect 3 in that regard?
Well, the whole development has been focused on apparently making, you know, a cross between the previous games, because the story in the first game was spectacular. It was seriously probably one of the best stories ever in the game, especially if you're into science fiction. And as you say, in the second game, it was more or less being turned into a really good story that didn't really focus on the story as a whole, but more on the characters, and a really good shooting game, kind of like Gears of War. In the third game, there is lots and lots more story that's focused on the story as a whole, the grand scheme of it all. But also they've used all the tricks that they learned in the second game, so you get the best of both worlds. Also a lot more RPG elements in the new game. Some of the stuff that I missed from the sequel was that you weren't really able to affect your weapons and such, and loot really wasn't a thing in the sequel, whereas in the new game, all the weapons that you pick up, and there are a lot of weapons, each have 2 slots that you can just outfit with all sorts of different scopes and you know, powerful ammunition and all sorts of strange things.
But there's also supposedly a sort of like 3 different game types, if you will.
I believe it's called role-playing, action, and story, which is kind of, you know, a way for the game to streamline itself to your needs. That means that you can just play the game as a pure action game, where the game takes care of all the RPG elements for you. You can play it as a story mode, where the fights are really easy, or you can play it as a role-playing game, which is the same old Mass Effect that we know and cherish.
So without mentioning specifics, is the story actually any good? Is it all the choice making? Does it have an impact, or do you just feel like you're...
Again, I love the story of the first game, because I really love good science fiction, and it's so seldom that I'm being captured by the story in the game. I tend to think they're really silly and terribly written. But the story in Mass Effect 3 is really good. First and foremost, again, it combines really the best parts of the 2 previous games. That means that you get the good story parts from the characters themselves, you get their stories. but also it advances and of course concludes the whole grand story of the Reapers, the Protheans, the choices that the human race makes as it wants to be accepted by this whole Galactic Federation. And also it goes really into the politics of all the different races and how they work with each other. Also the choices that you make this time around, especially the sequel, was really obvious in the bad choices you could make and in the good choices you can make. And it still has the blue and the red system where you can activate it with the trigger buttons. But the choices themselves are much more realistic, I would go as far as to say, and they're much harder to decide this time around. It's not Witcher territory where it's really deep, but it is much better than previous times. And probably for the first time in the Mass Effect series, I was actually at several points of times considering what my choice was, instead of just going for the good choice and say, hey, I'm the beloved shepherd that the whole galaxy just can't get enough of.
Also, this year, shock and horror, they've added multiplayer to what is possibly the biggest single-player RPG franchise in the world.
Yeah.
What on earth are they thinking?
Horde.
Oh.
That's what they're thinking. I was kind of worried at first, and I surely didn't believe that I would spend any kind of time on it, but it's really good. I mean, I love playing Gears of War and all those sorts of games, but what I'm always missing from especially Gears of War, Call of Duty or anything is the deeper RPG roots. I want to be able to spec my character on an even deeper basis. And in the multiplayer mode, you have the different sort of races or specialities that Shepard can attain in the single player. You can play as Vanguard, a soldier, or anything in between. And these choices are divided up in classes in the multiplayer game. But also each class has, I believe, 5 different characters, which stretches the different races of the game. So you'll start out with one class, of course, or actually you can play all of the classes, but one of the characters in each class. You can level them up, you can unlock the ability to use some of the other races. This gets very complicated. And each race has different abilities that you can power up, level up. In between you earn, of course, XP, but you also earn money. And the money is used for buying new weapons, of course. But what's really special about it is that you don't just buy the weapon. You buy these almost treasure chests or just packs where you don't know what's in them. So every time it's kind of a surprise, and you can sit there and hope for a new auto rifle or something really cool. And the system actually works. It's kind of refreshing to not just have the Call of Duty thing where there's a weapon I want, so I will just keep on playing until I get that weapon and probably never use the weapon, or probably never use the system again. Here was actually leveling up all the different characters and just hoping for that shotgun or that semi-automatic or something like it that would secure the victory for my team. And it's 4-player co-op.
And it's fun.
It's really fun. It uses the Killzone way of building up missions dynamically, where on the way you will get a new objective. For instance, you have to hack a computer or upload something or kill some enemies or escape. So, I mean, it's surely not as deep as some of the other choices on the market right now, but as an addition to an already spectacular single-player adventure, it's a really good choice.
And supposedly it also ties into the single-player game in some way.
Yeah, there's this whole universe at war thing, which is actually just sort of a menu to administer how the different races are working together.
It's just a meter at the top of the screen, or
kind of.
Okay.
And it shows you how like I said, how the different races are kind of working together and how unified the galaxy is as a whole in its fight to combat the Reapers. And the choices, or actually how many matches you win in multiplayer, will also affect that.
So is this the best Mass Effect yet? Or am I being glib and you're just going to say, of course it's the best Mass Effect yet, you idiot, what are you talking about?
Well, it's kind of strange because it's really hard for me to answer or actually come up with the answer that I will give you in 10 seconds or so, because I love the first Mass Effect and it's something really special to me as a game. I also love the sequel, but yes, the third game is the best game in the series. Not only because it of course concludes the whole story, but also because it combines all of the best elements of the previous games. I will say that due to the newness of it all, I was completely flabbergasted by the story in the first game. In a way, I probably haven't been in a new game, but then again, the new game kind of, ties it all together in a really cool way, and also has an amazing story. Also, just all the aspects of the game have become better. The graphics are punishing the hardware even more this time around. It's really, really good looking. The voice acting, of course, is spectacular. And also the whole presentation of the game is even better. I mean, BioWare is just constantly adding to the many talents, and it's the most movie-ish game of the series so far. So all in all, yes, this is the best game of the series, and it is a worthy way, a more than worthy way, to conclude what I consider the best trilogy in gaming.
Shepard, we got Reaper signatures in orbit.
This is it, isn't it?